Good evening, and thank you guys for coming out to our junior parent night. We're going to get started. We've got a lot of information to cover with you tonight. It's mainly going to be over the college process, but the first person we do bring in is a career specialist, Sarah Hennig, and we've worked with Sarah for the last 3 or 4 years, and she does a great job. If your students are looking for hey, I just don't know what I want to do. I'm looking for a major. I'm looking for something to do with my life. That's what she does. And she's done a great job, as I said, with our families for the last 4 years. So we've had her come in. There's a couple other career assessments on our Navient site that Kathy will show you. But Sarah does a one-on-one with you and your students, so it's a little bit more involved and personalized. So I'm going to let Sarah start off.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hennig. I am a local psychologist here in Indianapolis, and I have a private practice on the north side. I just opened my own practice with my really close friend Megan O'Brien, who graduated at Cathedral class of '92. I feel very bonded to Cathedral. This is my 5th year. This will be my 5th year doing this, and I really appreciate it. I'm really honored to be back here. And Cathedral has a lot of great resources, a lot better resources than we had at Brebeuf back in the early 90s where I graduated from. I just am offering something to add to that. I think career is such an integral piece of our identity, and there's a lot of research that shows that just being bright, having resources, and having support from parents, that's not enough to ensure that you're going to have a happy and really successful career. So it's good to get all of the help you can with that, and that's what I'm here for. So I put on a seminar that occurs here at Cathedral. This year it will be, this school year, it will be February 16th. And in addition, it's a 1.5-hour seminar where we talk about issues that affect students in their careers. And then they take a personality assessment as well as an interest inventory. We look at values, self-esteem, these types of things. And then you meet with me individually at my office to synthesize that and talk about directions to go. So my goal is to take your student just right where they are. Maybe your kid kind of says, I've known forever that I want to be a vet. And you're like, okay, well, I'm not really sure if you're really going to be a vet. But, or they have no clue. They have multi-potentiality. They're great at everything, or they're only good at one thing and they don't really care about school. It could be any of those things. And what I like to do is take your student right where they are and sort of help them move forward, take that next step wherever they need to go with that. So I am not the person that's like, hey, guess what? You're going to be a physical therapist for sure. That's it. That's not me. I like to explore it sort of from a therapeutic way and help them narrow down their options and get some good ideas. So this is here. There were like 4 people at the sophomore parent night a month ago. So I didn't bring enough of these, but there are, these are up here, they might be gone now, but actually Mike emails people with all the info and has been really helpful the last few years in doing that, so you should be getting an email about that. If you happen to have had a student do the seminar in their sophomore year and you need to follow up, please contact me about that. A lot of students go through, and every year there's just like a couple that for whatever reason they like didn't get the email or whatever about that follow-up session. So I really want to do those feedback sessions. There's just a few from last year. My email is careerpsych@gmail.com, careerpsych@gmail.com. So that's the best way to contact me. Mike has my info too. So I encourage you, if you have any interest in this, just to contact me. If you have questions, I'm happy to talk it through. It's $175. That includes the 1.5-hour seminar as well as the 1-hour feedback session, all the testing. You get a 30-page report as well. So thanks a lot. I hope that your students have a great year, and I hope to see some of you sometime soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Sarah. And as you can see, we're taping this tonight, and it's going to be on our website. So if for some reason you didn't get her address, I do have it. It will be on the video if you want to watch that again as well. Should do some introductions. Some of you, I'm sure, are new. I see a lot of familiar faces. I'm on my third or fourth student with that family, which is fabulous here, so I know those people real well. But I'm Mike Jaskowski. I'm Director of College Advising and Guidance here at Cathedral. I have the alphabet A through F for our juniors and seniors. So hopefully by now you know that your son or daughter has transitioned from a guidance counselor to a college advisor this year. And we will have your son or daughter for the next 2 years. We not only do the college advising, we still do all personal counseling, scheduling, and everything else that you would expect of a guidance counselor at any other school. So we do all those services, but our main emphasis is to work with your children in the college process. Having said that, I think Lynn and I just added up, and Kathy, I may have added a couple extra years for you, but between the three of us, we figure we have 61 years of experience in the field here, and honestly, there's probably nothing up to this point that we haven't seen. We gave you 25 years, how's that? I had 34, so anyway, good. You can see one of the handouts is from the National College Fair. I'm the chairman of that, so hopefully there's a lot of you who can make it down there with your students. I'm also on the National College Board with our association, which is NACAC. Kathy is past president of our state association, which is IACAC, which is all the counselors in the state of Indiana, both college and high school. Lynn was, and both Kathy and Lynn have served on the other side at Butler and Dayton, respectively, as college counselors or college admissions reps there. I coached in college myself. Lynn has just been named in 2014 our National Conference for College Advising, which is all colleges and high schools around the country, is going to be in Indianapolis. There's going to be like 6,000 college reps coming in here. It's really fun. This year it's out in Denver. But Lynn has just been named to head all the local arrangements for that, which is a huge, huge job. I tell you all these things not to brag or boast, but to tell you that we are involved in our state and national organizations, and we do that because of your students. We want to be on top of everything that's going on in our profession for you, and that's the reason we have that involvement that we do, and we're fortunate that Cathedral allows us the time to get involved in those activities. So we feel like we have a real good handle on what's going on, and hopefully we stay on the top of our game for you guys with that. Some things tonight, what we're going to do is just briefly go over some things that are going to be going on this year with your students. And then Alan Hill, who is a good friend of ours, who is the director of admissions at Franklin College, is going to talk a little bit from the college perspective about what they want to see going on junior year. Before I really get too far into that, I just want to call your attention to the gray sheet, which says additional meetings of importance. And you can see there's some other dates on there that might be pertinent for you. Notre Dame night is simply what it says, that they come here in this room, do a presentation about Notre Dame. If it's not specifically for Cathedral students, so if you have neighbors or friends with children at other schools, they are certainly welcome to come. It's advertised as kind of a northeast side evening, so we just host it. It's not like it's exclusive for Cathedral parents and students, so that's available there. The NCAA information night, if your son or daughter is interested in playing Division I or Division II athletics, they will have to go through what's called the NCAA Eligibility Center to get certified at some point. We bring in a person who actually used to work for me here, who now works for the NCAA, to give that presentation. And we also have the compliance director from Purdue University. Well, they will come in that night and talk about that process. So if you have athletes, that's what that is for. The third one, the Junior Plan Day for College. This is what we do with your students in February. We take them out of class the first 5 periods of the day, and we bring in people such as Alan. Alan will come back and do a session with our students. We bring in about 15 to 20 college people. They will talk to your students about admissions, about scholarships, about writing essays, about student life. And then at the end, we have a college fair in the Welch Activity Center with all the colleges that have come that day. So it's kind of a kickoff, I would say, for us, and really going full force with the juniors in terms of really starting to think about the process. The last 2 are really one program. They're just on separate dates. And if there's one program that I would really encourage you, if I was a parent of a student in high school right now, this would be a must for me. College cost estimated work, and some of you, we advertise it for sophomore parents first, and then if you can't make it, we advertise it again for juniors. This is a free estimate that you will get from the National Center for College Costs, and it's an amazing service. They will take your assets, your income, whatever you choose to share with them, all confidentially, and they will talk to you about, okay, here's where you can plan some things, here's what you need to do, here's some places where you might want to put your money, and so on. And the best news is it's all free for you. We contract with them. If you've had a son or daughter who has gone through this already, they have it already on file. You get it free for as long as they're here and through college. So it's an amazing, amazing service, and I stress it because it's in the spring, and it seems like we maybe get about 40 or 50 families each year, and to me, that would be one that we should have, 200 people at. Because again, he will do a free evaluation for you, will come back, will confidentially go over it with you, or you can have it sent to you, and then you can contact them. So I really emphasize that one. The follow-up meeting, the last one, that would be just if you want to come back and meet with him in person. Otherwise, like I said, they can email that information to you. So that's, we try to line out things for you during the year, step by step. For the juniors, honestly, we don't put a lot of emphasis on them with the college stuff right now. They've got a lot of things going on junior year, and to be honest with you, right now we've got 300 seniors that we're processing college applications for and writing letters, and we don't want the juniors to get caught up in that right now. It's not that time to do that. They really need to focus on their coursework at this time. What we do with them is we will meet with you and your son or daughter in a college planning meeting at some time during the year. The ideal time for that is we like to start those in January, right after the first of the year, after they've got first semester grades. Because right now all they have is 4 semesters on a transcript, so it's not much for us to go on in terms of trends. Some colleges will not even look at grades that they get freshman year. They just look hard at sophomore, junior, and in some cases senior year. So by that time in January, we'll have 5 semesters, and that will help us a lot more in our conversation with you, but we will all be sending out emails to that effect to meet with us. But in the meantime, if you do have questions, your son or daughter has questions, please tell them to come in. Just be patient with us this time of year, because this between now and really the end of November is a really heavy application season for us. I should introduce my colleagues. Kathy Pavanka has the letters G through N. As I said, Kathy has been at Butler and Vincennes, and how many years here now, Kathy? 8 years in December here. Lynn Miller has the back part of the alphabet, O through Z, as she likes to call it, the Land of Oz. Lynn has been here 6 years, and as I said, she worked at Dayton and also Ohio Wesleyan University as well. So I am going to just do some general talking. Lynn is going to get into SAT, ACT testing and college visits, and then Kathy is going to show you our resources on the website for you that you can get into. So really, when we talk to your juniors, and I think all of us have already been in classrooms, the composition teachers have a great thing. Junior English, they all do a college unit for your students. They have to write a college essay, they have to do a college resume, and they have to research at least one college, if not two. And from our standpoint, that's fabulous. That is really great. And then they will have us come in, show them the website, and talk to some of the things I'm going to talk to you about now. So some of your students have already heard this, which is fantastic. But really 3 things that are going on this year with them. One, like I said at the beginning, the big thing is they've got to establish their transcript this year. And that's why we don't put a lot of pressure on them first semester about, hey, you need to be looking at colleges. You need to be doing this, this, and this. Because if they don't establish some decent grades this year, the conversations will be shorter and shorter depending on what's on that transcript. So again, that's why I say we want to kind of see what they've got after 5 semesters to really have a meaningful conversation. I know Alan would agree, any college in the country, the first thing they're going to look at when your son or daughter applies next year is their transcript. What grades did they earn? What classes did they take? What was the rigor of their courses in high school? I don't care if it's Ivy Tech or if it's Harvard. The number one thing they're going to look at is the high school transcript. So that's why we tell the kids junior year it's important to establish that trend, because colleges look for the trend going up this year. That's really what they want to see. So if they haven't done so well the first 2 years, this is the year they want to see that arrow going up, because research shows that that's the pattern they take to colleges. So that's why you guys are going to hear when you go all to these college campuses, hey, junior year is really important, because that's the pattern that they tend to take to college with them. So transcript, number 1. Number 2, they will be taking college entrance tests this year, SAT and ACT. We definitely encourage the students to take both. They're different tests. Again, any college is going to accept either one, and between the tests, they will take the better of the 2, and they have a comparison chart where they can do that. We encourage our students to start that in the spring. I know some kids like to get a jump on it here and do some in the winter. That's fine. Colleges are going to take their best combination of scores, and I'm sure Lynn will explain more about that. But sometimes they just want to take one in November, December for a practice, and that's fine. We do have the March SAT here and the April ACT here. And the reason we did that is because we want our juniors to be able to take at least one test at their home school. So we really encourage you, tonight you can go ahead and sign them up, because we only have space for 300 and some students, and we're getting, kids from Chittard and Southport and Lawrence, and anybody can sign up. I mean, it's open to any high school student. So we want to get the majority of kids, usually our Cathedral kids, which is great, but we want you guys to get in there and get signed up for those. So testing, and again, Lynn will spend some more time on that. The third thing this year that's going to happen, and this is kind of be Kathy's area, is research on schools. And we will get into this with you in our individual meetings as well, but kind of, again, second semester, we want them to start digging into some schools, start looking at things. They will have some visit days that they can take off Cathedral with you to go to schools and kind of do that. But by the end of the year, we'd like to have them have a good list of schools, and that could be, by good, I mean anywhere from 10 to 20 schools. When they come back in the fall, they really need to have it kind of narrowed down to the ones they're actually going to apply to. So again, this year we don't put a lot of pressure on them saying, hey, you've got to get your list narrowed down by the time you leave school this year. Not at all. We want them to have an open mind, have a lot of different choices on their list. Come the fall, after you've done your last visits in the summer, we know all their test scores, then they're kind of pare it down to that 4 to 6, which is really a general rule of thumb of what they're going to apply to with that. So transcript, testing, research. Those are kind of the 3 main things for the juniors this year. So I'm going to let Lynn go a little bit more in depth on the SAT and ACT and college visits.
Hello, yes, I'm the goofy lady who sends emails to Munchkins in the Land of Oz. For those of you who have already received them, I apologize. And for those of you who have no idea, I think they're fun. So it makes me happy, and I'm goofy. Mike went over a lot of what I was going to emphasize with the testing. He does it every year. But I'm prepared. I can go into more depth if I need to. What we encourage students to do is decide when to take the test kind of based on where they are in math. If your student is in Algebra 2, they really shouldn't take the SAT or ACT in the fall of their junior year. The highest level of math on the SAT is Algebra 2. So you want them to have as much background in Algebra 2 before they take the test as possible. All students, all juniors, and all sophomores will be taking the PSAT in October. This year it's on Wednesday, October 17th. So even if your student isn't going to take the SAT or ACT this fall, they are going to have a standardized testing experience that is a good preparation for the actual test they'll take in the spring. If you do have a student who's already taken Algebra 2, is in pre-calculus, is dying to take their first test, maybe December might be a good time to take it. On the purple sheet that you guys got with the test dates, November 3rd is awfully close to that PSAT date. So I would go on to the December 1st date for the SAT or the December 8th date for the ACT. But then, of course, everyone should feel free to start taking the tests starting in January on through the rest of the spring semester. And then if they need to, they can still take the tests in the fall. Of course, we don't want them to be taking the SAT and the ACT for the first time in the fall of their senior year. So we want them to have plenty of time to take it. We also encourage them to go ahead and have the scores sent to schools. We do not provide colleges with the students' test scores. They do not go on our transcript. So when the students sign up to take the test, they can indicate for schools for free that they can have their test scores sent to. The colleges do not use this necessarily to decide right away, oh yes, we want this student, or we're never going to take this student based on this one test score. That's just going to get them in their system. Later on, if they apply, they already have the test scores on file. It's one less thing you're going to have to send when they apply their senior year. So we do encourage you to go ahead and send it. A lot of people will panic. They don't want those test scores to be sent. But trust us, the colleges are actually pretty nice, and they understand that not everybody's going to have a perfect test score the first time they take the test. Probably never will they have a perfect test score, but they're probably going to improve each time they take the test. So don't be afraid of that. Like Mike said, the SAT on March 9th or the ACT on April 13th are perfect times to take the test, maybe even for the first time. Your kids are going to see friendly faces here on campus that morning. We're going to be the ones administering the tests. Other teachers on campus will be administering the tests. It's a much less stressful environment than maybe going to Butler's campus, where you're going to have no idea which building you're going into, or a big high school like Carmel, where you're not even sure which door to enter into the building. So taking it here will relieve some of the stress that's associated with standardized test taking, and sometimes that will also mean better scores. Many people are concerned about test prep. I think all three of us feel like you should go ahead and take the test once, see how you do, and then decide if you need some preparation. It could mean you need it in all areas, or you just need some better understanding of how to quickly read through the passages, or maybe it's just alleviating test anxiety. After you take the test once, your students are going to have a much better idea of what help they're going to need to be successful in the future. We do have Miss O'Brien here at Cathedral, who does offer test prep courses on campus on Monday nights. She does have a class going on right now, but there is one that will start on October 15th. So if you do have a son or daughter who might want to take the December or January test, that might be the next session to get in on if you want them to do some test prep beforehand. Then she'll also start one again next semester on January 28th. If you want more information, you'll just want to email Miss O'Brien, and she can give you some details about the cost and exactly what they're going to cover in the classes. Now on to more fun stuff, not test scores. We definitely want the students to start researching colleges, and there are many ways that they can do this without necessarily having to leave their home, the school, the state. One way we do it, all of them have access to Naviance, which gives them access to the list of colleges that are coming to physically visit Cathedral. We'll have over 100 different colleges visit us this fall. We've already had at least probably 20 to 30 just in the past couple of weeks come to visit. Only juniors and seniors are able to sign up for these visits, but they must sign up for these visits online through Naviance at least 24 hours in advance. And Mrs. Pavanka, I know, is showing this to you right now, but when she shows you more about Naviance, she'll show you exactly how the students go through and sign up for the visits. The students are responsible for remembering that they signed up for the visit, so they need to write it down, or whatever they're using for their calendar, they need to put it in there, because we're not going to remind them that, hey, you signed up for the University of Findlay visit tomorrow during 8th period. Hope to see you there. They're going to need to remember on their own. We do send lists of the students who have signed up for the visits to all of the teachers, so the teachers know why a student is missing. But the teachers then also can reserve the right to say, you know, Johnny can't miss tomorrow because we have a test. And then, oh, okay, we'll make sure that Johnny goes and he takes the test. He doesn't miss your class. The kids are also really good at knowing, you know, I can't miss math. If I miss it, I'm going to be lost the rest of the year. So they're also really good at letting us know, I really can't make it today. And that's fine. We want them to tell us if they can't make it, so we're not sitting there expecting 20 people to show up and 5 show up instead. And we'll pick up information for them and get it to them, so they still are getting the information. But these visits, even though they aren't mandatory, they're a great way to start getting information about what the schools offer, what the admission requirements are, how to come visit, just trying to get some general feel for the school before you get in a car and drive 3 hours to a campus and find out they have nothing your son or daughter is even interested in. So this is one thing they can take advantage of here. We also have several college fairs in the area. One is taking place tonight, so hopefully some of your sons and daughters are making their way up to Fishers High School to take advantage of that. But the two that are coming up, the one at the convention center that Mr. Jaskowski is in charge of, that is huge. There will be hundreds of colleges and universities from across the country and even some international schools represented at that fair. So that's a great way. You spend one evening walking through the convention center, getting a lot of information about a variety of schools, actually having conversations with admission representatives, and getting a better idea of which schools you do want to further investigate. We also, though, want your students to then go on the college campuses. As juniors, we allow students to take 3 excused absences to go on college visits. The form is available either on our website or they can come and pick it up in the guidance office. All of their teachers sign it. We need a parent signature, and then they turn it into their college advisor, and we're the last signature that they need, and then we'll give them an excused absence. But we need it before they go on the visit. So the more advance notice, the better. The morning of is a little hard, especially if you do have a long drive that day. I don't know how that happens, but sometimes we do get them the day of. But you definitely want to plan ahead and, of course, let the teachers know that your son or daughter is going to be missing. So that form is really helpful. But the junior year, like I said, they get 3 excused absences to go visit colleges during the day while classes are in session to really see what the campus is like. And then senior year, they only get 2. So you really want to make sure they take advantage of the 3 days the junior year because they don't bank them like the kids want them to be banked for the senior year. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Kathy so she can show you all the fun things on Naviance and the website.
I think I get this job because I'm willing to unplug my computer. I think Mr. Jaskowski's worried it's going to blow up if he unplugs his, because sometimes it does. So I'm Kathy Pavanka. I have the G to N's. I'm not as creative as Miss Miller. G to N, the only thing we've come up with is the Goonies. It's not sticking for some reason like Oz has. So I'm going to, if you're creative and have an idea, send me an email. How many of your sons or daughters have come home with a bright orange sheet the first few weeks of school and had Naviance directions on it. How many of you actually saw it? Okay, a few of you. How many of you have had students go through this process here at Cathedral before? Okay, we are in our second year of using the Naviance system. In the past, we've had Prep HQ, which was bought out by Connect, which was a horrible system. I'm going to say that out loud on public viewing because it was not a good system for us. We moved to Naviance. We are extremely happy with our new system. Last year was our first year using it. We can pull data. We can track information. It's been very user-friendly for the students. And last year was the first year we could really utilize this with our underclassmen. So the juniors, for the first time last year, had access to Naviance, so they could start doing some of that college search on this. Well, the same thing's happening this year. Your son or daughter was given a pumpkin color sheet, which is similar to the one you picked up tonight, and they had a little piece of paper tacked to it that said their code and how to log in and set up their account. The reason we try to get that information to them so early is because that's how they sign up for the college visits that Ms. Miller mentioned here on campus. We don't have the little book that they write their name in anymore or sneak their name onto after the deadline. We have very strict deadlines on how they have to do it, and they have to sign up 24 hours in advance. So what I want to show you tonight is kind of what their side looks like, because hopefully they might share their username and password with you. But we don't get in the middle of that discussion. That's between you and your son and daughter. But we also have a way that you can get on and see some of the basic information as well, and I'll show you that. I am logged on as a student right now. This is my 12-year-old senior, Caitlin Pavanka. So it's a fake student because she's not here. But we have a number of things that juniors can use to work on that. You'll notice that it talks about the different visits that are coming. The college tab is one of the first things the students are going to look at. Oh, which one is it? This one? There. Can you see that better now? Okay. When they go to the college tab, they'll see a view all the upcoming visits. When you click on that, it looks a little different than the one I showed you just a few minutes ago in that they can actually register. And if you notice, some of these are registration closed because it's less than 24 hours before the event. They have to sign up 24 hours ahead because we have to email the teacher to let them know that that student will be missing from class, which gives that teacher an idea that, oh, they're skipping a test. They really shouldn't do that. So the teacher does have the right to kind of get in the middle of that a little bit if it's an important class for them to be at. But for instance, if a student wanted to sign up for DePaul, and Franklin was today, so I can't use that one, Mr. Hill, sorry, but he did used to work at DePaul. So the student, all they have to do is click sign up, sign me up, and they are confirmed. Okay, it's very, very simple, but they have to have their Naviance account activated. I think a number of the juniors have done that. We'll start sitting on the ones that haven't. The big key to this is that they have to write it in their blue book or put it on their iPad calendar, whatever they're using to keep track of things, because I'm not sending out 30 or 40 emails every night saying, hey, remember you signed up for this visit. They have to remember. This is part of them growing up and being responsible. So, but it does allow them to come to that visit. As Ms. Miller said, some of our attendance at these will have a lot of kids sign up and very few remember to show up. So it is a service that is kind of important. You'll find that if a college is going to be in town, an out-of-state college is going to be in town for 2 or 3 days, we're going to be one of the 5 to 8 stops that they want to make while they're here. So we're very privileged to have them on our campus. We don't necessarily want the kids to skip out of a lot of school to do this, but we want them to hit the ones that are important to them. So the college visits is going to be a key piece to that. The other things that they can see if they're on the college page, obviously colleges I'm applying to, we don't have to worry about that till next year. That's what we work with the seniors on. But the colleges I'm thinking about, had a young lady come in and ask me a couple questions yesterday, I believe. And she says, oh, I just started Googling colleges and I'm finding this, and this. And it sounds like she went and searched 50 different things and was all scattered. I said, are you on Naviance yet? She goes, oh, I signed up. I said, there's a college match on there that you can use to pick schools. You can add schools if your son or daughter already has 5 or 6 schools they're interested in. They can add those in. We can see them so we can have a nice little dialogue about the schools they're looking at. They can take them off. They can add them on. They can have 30. They can have 10. The next day they might have 30 again. You know, it's going to go back and forth. But they can add those. on there. And it's just their space to kind of organize their information. Some of the college research that's on here, I want to make sure we have time for Alan, so I'm not going to go through all of it. Some of the super match, if that young lady had gone on Navient, she could pick the geographic location, the major, an urban campus, a specific activity. Maybe she wanted fraternities and sororities and Greek life. Maybe she wanted a certain sport, those types of things. And it would help her fine-tune that search just a little bit more. The students seem to really like that. They can compare schools. There's maps if they want to see where kids have gone out of state, where they've gone in state. The scattergrams, this is the most popular one. The scattergrams will allow us to plot data for the last 2 years. We have 2 years of data in here now. So they can see where other students, just like them at Cathedral, where they kind of fit into the acceptance or denial or wait list kind of categories. So they can pull up the Notre Dame one and see that the scattergram is in the far upper right corner with all the green. Or they can see that, hey, I do have a chance of getting in to this state school or this small private school. I didn't realize I'd have a shot at that. We have to caution them to kind of look at the big picture with that and not just focus on test scores and GPA, because as Mr. Hill will tell you, there's essays and recommendations and things like that. But it does give them a general idea where they fit based on where other Cathedral kids have fit in the past. So they can play on a lot of different things on that. I won't get into the scholarship, but this is where we kind of put our scholarship information in for senior year. If there is a junior scholarship that comes across my desk, I do email the juniors so that they know, because most of them are going to be for seniors. Now, real quick, and this is just the things they can see. There is an About Me section. And this is where, if you wanted to have your son or daughter do a very quick, personality type kind of assessment, like Sarah Henning was talking about, she does a little more in depth. But there's a real quick one on here. Takes, probably 20, 30 minutes, Miss Miller? It's called Do What You Are. It asks a lot of you read passages and which one is more like you and that type of thing. It kind of is a good early awareness to maybe give them some ideas. If they're more technically oriented, or they're more business oriented, or they're more science oriented. Miss Miller and I took this when the system first came out, and guidance counselor was on the list. So we feel very good about this program. So I also was told I should be a bartender when I was a junior in high school on one of those. So that doesn't work very well either. But this is what your son or daughter will see when they log on. What I want to show you now real quickly is where you can go, because they may or may not want to share that username and password with you. I'm sure you have ways to get it out of them. But if you want to go out and see your own, just see what's out there, you're going to go to the academic tab up at the top and go to guidance. And we have to get a new picture because we have a couple new people in our office. College advising is your new home, not freshman, sophomore advising, college advising. Under that, you're going to see the Naviance. And what that's going to take us to is the logo, and we're going to click on the logo. And the way for parents or anyone else to get on is to say, I'm a guest. Guess what the password is? Guest. The password is guest. If you ever forget that, just let us know, and we will let you know what it is. We try to make it simple. The things that you're going to be able to see, you're going to be able to see all the upcoming visits, just like we showed you when Miss Miller was talking. So you can see, if you want to kind of nudge a little and say, hey, that college you talked about is coming. Did you sign up? They'll say, how did you know that college was coming? I didn't give you my password. It's going to give you all the college research information if you wanted to look up your own college information. And it's also going to eventually, when we get to senior year and those scholarships really come front and center, it's going to allow you to see those as well. So you do have access to quite a few of the things on there without ever fighting with them for any information from them. Any questions on that at this point? Okay. One really quick thing, and then we'll pass it on over to Alan. When you go to this guidance page, you're going to notice there is a guidance links and resources. There is a lot of different things on here. You're going to find things that were going to be for senior year, but there's that campus visit form. If you want to print it off and sign it and send it to school, knowing that your signature's on it ready to go, we see a lot of those come through. But there's a lot of different resources on there that you can kind of tap into, and we're always adding different things and changing it around. So definitely a good resource for you to use. Okay? Any questions? Okay. We are going to pass it over to Alan Hill. And like Mike said, he is a very, very good friend of our office, and comes, and I think if you've seen his presentation before, you're going to come away feeling really good about the things you're going to be doing this year. Here you go, Alan.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It's me between you and that steak dinner you have waiting at home for you, right? Or the stop by Hardee's on the way home, right? One of those. Can everybody hear me back there? I'm so happy to be here. I'm delighted to be here. I come all the time, not just to represent Franklin College, it's to help inform parents about this process. When you walk away tonight, if you don't remember anything else, remember one thing. It's the things that they're doing for you, the things that they will continue to do for you through this process is to help make sure that you're informed so that you stay relaxed and calm in the process. Because if you stay relaxed and calm in the process, it's going to allow your sons and daughters to stay relaxed in the process. They're going to think it's a life and death experience that they have to go through. Some of you have college students already, I'm sure, right? And it's like, I got to make the best decision in the world, this process. Well, let me tell you, the national data shows that over half of students nationwide transfer. So not only do you want to go through this once, you want to go through this process twice, huh? Right? So you want to be informed so you can make an informed, so your sons and daughters and you as a family can make an informed decision about this process. That's so important for you to do. I'm not far off. I have a son who's a sophomore in college. I have a daughter who just graduated from college and just started graduate school. So I've gone through this process, but my wife and I are loving being empty nesters, okay? I can tell you. So there is a light in the tunnel. It's not a train, okay? It's fun being empty nesters, okay? Just so you know that. I still miss my babies, though, okay? So that's where we start. You know, I came in this room tonight, and boy, I come a little early because I always want to get a sense of who my audience is and that type of thing. And boy, the energy was popping in here, and everybody's laughing and talking. And you guys have a great junior class of parents here, right? Okay? That's where you got to have that balance between how do you keep that energy versus I know someone in this room tonight is going to go home and say, oh, my God, we're behind. You know what? You got to get on right now and sign up for that SAT. You know what? And to make sure, you better get that ACT scheduled also. Okay? Somebody in here is going to do that. Okay? Somebody's going to do that. You know what? And go see Mr. Pravanka tomorrow because that Navi, I need your password, right? So I told my kids very clearly, if I pay it, I see it, okay? You don't have to do that, but I do, okay? If I pay it, I see it. So that's something. Let me just get started. We don't want to keep you too long. Couple things. I gave a handout, and there's a lot of information on there. I won't touch on every point, but I just want to touch on a couple of key points. And really, you don't really have to take notes because everything's on there, okay? So I tried to make it easy for you. One of the things that you have to do, this is a negotiation process, okay? And you can't do it all in one night. Don't do it all in one night, okay? So don't think, I'm going to sit down with my sons and daughters. Somebody's going to do this tonight. We're going to walk through this entire sheet right here just tonight, okay? No, because take it in little pieces. They're juniors. Take it in little pieces, okay? And so the first thing you want to do, let's talk about the role that we want to play in this process, okay? What's the role? What would your son or daughter expect of you in order to assist them in the process? Some of them are going to be, my son was very dependent. We had to do several things in his process. My daughter was like, I really don't need much to do for you to do in this process. So talk with them. Just sit down and have that conversation. It's not even about what college it is, those things. It's sort of, okay, in this process, you know, I went to this session tonight and they talked about Naviance. They talked about college visits and going to college fairs and those different types of things. How would you like for me or us to be engaged in this process with you? Okay? So having that conversation ahead of time so that when you get down the road, you've already sort of agreed on some things. Secondly then, you want to talk about, okay, here's my expectations and here's the role that we're going to play and we're going to expect of you. I am not going to enable your not being participatory in this process. There's some parents who will want to do the entire process. I'm going to get that password and I'm going to make sure she signed up for all those schools and I'm going to do this and this and this and this. Don't do that. Don't do that. They have to own the process so that they can make an informed decision with you in the process that's best for them and best for your family. Okay? Makes sense? So that might be the only thing you talk about. We're not going to go through the entire process with them that night, right? You're only going to talk to them about what role would they like for you to play. I really would like for you to, when I go to the college counseling center, go with me, at least the first time. Okay, because I'm a little nervous. I'm just really meeting the counselor, those things. Can you go with me that time? Okay? But, hey, my expectation of you is I want you to go on Naviance just to get a sense of what it's all about. I'm not saying you have to go in there and do anything right now, but I want you to get your password, go in, just jump around in there to see what it's all about so that they can feel relaxed and comfortable about that. So that when you come back to it later, you can feel comfortable with that. So that's the most important thing, is making sure. The other thing in this process that comes out that we have to really talk about, it really does come down to fit. It really does come down to fit. Yeah, I told you, over half the students nationwide transfer for whatever reasons there are. A lot of times students make the decision because that school gave me the most money. Love the money, hate the school. No, seriously, hate the school. Got a great scholarship, okay? Miserable. It really means fit. My son, quite honestly, and I got to use an example, was a good student, so he went to the rankings, and the best schools are ranked, and I'm applying to the best schools based on that. Okay? Well, as you talk about that, I said, okay, that's fine, but let's make sure it's the right fit. And even though there's some elite schools out there, that doesn't mean that every one of those schools fit you. Okay? Or your son or your daughter. And so you have to it really gets back to fit. So don't get hung up in the name because there are going to be some schools you've never heard of that as you do your homework and they do their homework and you research and you go visit, you do things that, my goodness, that is the right fit for my son or that's the right fit for my daughter. Okay? Not because my neighbor's kid went there, not because my best friend's going there, it's because that's the best fit for me to be there. Okay? So do all your homework. That's fine to have those schools on your list, okay? But make sure and compare them and contrast and those types of things so that you can make an informed choice and get the right fit. I think that's what you guys try to do, is make sure it comes down the right fit. Okay? The process, like I said, if you're relaxing, it helps keep the stress down a little bit. Okay? I'm reading the paper last night, for example. And it lists all these colleges and it's classifying them in different ways. And it says, and I realize I'm reading it says, the 8th ranked most stressful college in America my son attends. Oh my gosh. I said, man, if he's stressed, I know then his mom is stressed, which in what? Is going to make me stressed, right? I can tell you that right now, right? But no, you know what? But I thought back and my wife and I talked about that and said, we feel good about the fact that he made an informed choice. He did his homework. He's at a very stressful place, but it's the right place for him. He loves it. But it's ranked the 8th ranked most stressful college. If he hadn't really done his choice, he was there, we would be stressed out, right? And I'm thinking we're paying too much money to send him to Georgetown for him to be stressed and making me stressed, right? And so that's all I'm saying to you is there are great schools out there. But if they're at those great schools and they're so stressed that they can't get the best out of themselves, but they could get the best out of themselves over here, that's what you need to think about. So don't go into the process starting with only going to look at these schools. Okay? Yeah, they can be on your list. You can research them. And it might end up being that that's one of those that fits them. But don't get caught up in the names through the process at the very beginning. Okay? I work at a college. My son could have went to 5 colleges tuition free because I get tuition exchange. Now, he didn't pick the one that's tuition free, okay, which made me stressful. But what it allowed us, so we added some of those schools on the list because, and we researched some of those schools because those could possibly have been options for him, okay? And so that's what you have to take in the mix as you talk through some of that. Let me move on next. How do you begin the process? Wherever they are, okay? If they say, Mom is an attorney, and I want to be an attorney, so I'm going to check out great schools that get kids in law school, then let them start there. You know, Grandpa was a teacher, and these are great colleges that get out great teachers, then let them start there. If it's athletics open the door for them, okay, she said DePauw, for example, use it as an example, you know, I'm a proud DePauw Tiger. I graduated from DePauw, so that didn't bother me, Kathy. Okay? Okay? But I know there's probably a few Wabash men in here, so I'll be careful. Okay? Okay? But again, through the process, you want to make sure, hey, I know for a fact, the only reason I looked at DePauw is because the coach came and talked to me. The coach came and talked to me and said, do you want to visit? Well, not really. I'm going to IU, you know? And my dad says, when do you want him there? Well, so I visited, okay? Okay, and that's a true story. But what happened in that process was athletics opened the door for me to go visit, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I sort of like this place, okay? So wherever they are, they don't have to manufacture anything. Wherever they are, whatever piques that interest for them to get online and check out this college or check out this college or whatever it is, or my son got on to look at sort of which places are rated high for the best looking girls on campus, right? Okay? If that's what gets them on the website, okay? Okay, as long as it's the right website, right? Okay? But if that's what gets them on the website, then let's get them there. So all I'm saying is take your sons and daughter where they are, okay? To get them interested so that you're not doing all the work in the process, okay? The other thing that you want to talk about is there are tons of resources available, okay? Tons of resources. They have almost all the resources you're going to need to help your sons and daughters make an informed decision, okay? Yes, some of you may have the resources that allow you to get someone else to work with you or, you know, go buy these things. Yeah, you certainly can do that. You don't always have to do that. It's there. It's available. It's a matter of whether or not you want to use it or not. Okay, so take advantage of the great resources that they have here at Cathedral High School. As they said, the list of colleges that visit. Okay, that's fantastic. Take advantage of it, making sure your sons and daughters are taking advantage of that and visiting those. That National College Fair, that's like instead of me driving 100 different places for a visit, I get to make connections with those colleges. I heard, you know, you go around there, you can say, man, I never knew about that college. So at least you're doing that. We didn't have that when we were coming through, okay? So now you can visit each one of them. One of the things you want to do when you visit those fairs, I tell them every year, what will happen is you will go through and they're so excited to be there, and at least now they have electronic where they can go through and just scan it. Well, make sure they get scanned in and those things so it's easier for them to do it, because it used to they had to write down their name in a card, and they do that 2 or 3 times. It's like, okay, then Dad's doing it after that, right? So make sure that they do, again, that, hey, it's not just for you to go hang out with your friends tonight. Let's negotiate this before we get there, okay? But you're actually going what? To talk to some college representatives, get a chance to know what different types of colleges are out there, those things. So negotiate those things ahead of time so that you're not frustrated and you're walking through that place like this because you're upset because you're the one talking to all the reps and they're talking to all their friends, okay? It's negotiating those things ahead of time, okay? So again, what? So that you can be relaxed and they can be relaxed through this process. The application process, deadlines, deadlines, deadlines. Deadlines, okay? The scholarship process, financial aid, deadlines, deadlines, deadlines. People miss deadlines. And then they miss deadlines, or they're so close to the deadline that now they're frustrated at Counselor A because Counselor A can't get that application recommendation in because they turned it in the day before and Counselor A has 100 applications on their desk, okay? So again, it's the 5 P's. Prior planning prevents poor performance. Okay? So make sure your sons and daughters remember the 5 P's. Prior planning prevents poor performance. Get things ahead, meet the deadlines. I told my son in the process, who applied to 13 colleges, said, okay, here's what we're going to do. Let's go through. Only thing I want you to do is get online, and I want you to look at what's the deadlines for each college you're going to apply to. That's all I want you to do tonight, okay? After a football practice or something like that. When he did that, I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. This school has the first deadline. That's our deadline. Because if you meet that deadline, what? You meet all the other deadlines, right? And so we negotiated, and we talked about that's what we have to do. But we also you have to balance. They're very busy in school. They're very busy with their activities in the arts or in volunteer services or in athletics. They're very busy, so you have to balance all that. So we negotiated a little bit. He said, hey, but I can't get all of those done during that time, okay? But what if I get these done here and then get these done here and then get these done here, okay? You can do that so that you have to say, have you done those? Have you done those? Have you done those? No, all you have to say is, look, my expectation, we're agreeing that on this date you're going to have these 3 done, okay? We won't fuss and fight if we have those done. So all I'm saying is, my expectation is that's where we're going to be. If they're not, then we have to deal with it at that particular point in time. So that's what you want to do. Again, trying to make this a relaxed process so that they will be better in the process. Again, they'll talk to you when we get there about early decision and early notification and all of those things. And so that's just on there just to remind you of that. SAT, ACT, the only thing I would say, because they covered it greatly, and the things that they informed you about there is very important. People really do get caught up with the SAT, ACT, but as Mike said, the transcript is the #1 document. The transcript is, remember, most of your sons and daughters will apply to college, and you say, well, they're a senior, but most of the grades that they will have, the college to make a decision, are their junior grades. They won't even have their senior grades yet. Okay, so when he said junior year is important, if you got a son or daughter who's saying, I'm going to pick it up when I'm a senior, okay? Okay? No, it's important right now if they want to go to a great college, okay? And I tell them all the time, what you want to do is put yourself in a position where you make the choice of what college you go to versus the school making the choice. I read applications all the time. There's some students who are saying, I hope they come, okay? Because they can make the choice of whether or not they're going to come based on their performance and what they've done. On the other hand, I read a lot of applications where I'm making the choice on whether or not they're going to have that opportunity, okay? So again, it's making sure that they're doing what they need to do. In terms of the ACT, SAT, only thing I would remind you is, yes, retake, retake, retake. It doesn't hurt them, okay? Even if you have a student who tests very well, I mean really high, strong scores, okay? Or outstanding scores. The quality of schools that they may be applying to might make them outstanding and the top scores at this particular school, but at this school it might make them strong scores, and at this school make them solid scores based on the tiers of the college, right? And so I say, even if you have great scores, retake them, okay? So you can get even a better score, because it's not just for admissions purposes, it's also a lot of times for scholarship purposes, okay? Yes, I have the scores that are going to get me in that college, and I have the GPA that's going to get me in that college. That's fine, but oh boy, it'd be great for they can get that top scholarship at that college too, if they have the potential and the background and all those types of things that are there. So yes, retake, because it's not a disadvantage. They're going to mix and match the scores. If they had a great math day on this day and a great writing day on this day, or a great reading day on this day, then it's going to help them as they put those together. The other thing I would say about the scores, there are many times when people will say, I just am not a test taker. I just am not a test taker. And that is in fact the case. However, colleges are going to what? Still expect test scores, Okay? So just say, I'm not a good test taker, so it doesn't, it does matter in the end. Okay? Transcripts are most important. Those supplement and support the other things. Where are the red flags? I say all the time, well, if you're not a very good test taker, then what are the great things that are in your file? Okay? Well, I'm not a great test taker, but I am a top student. I have great GPA. I'm taking all the great, we have honors, AP, IB, I'm taking all the top classes that this school offers. Then that school is still going to take a look at it because the transcript is the most important. Okay? But if you're saying, I'm not a good test taker, and I have the lowest GPA, I'm not volunteering, I'm not engaged in anything, then that can impact you at that point in time. But, some kids may not test as high, but there's other things in their file that really make them compelling as an applicant. Okay? Let's see. Visits. Visit. If you have the opportunity. And what I mean by that is, I'll just give you an example. Just within 20 miles or out, probably 25 miles around Indianapolis, think about how many colleges and universities are there, okay? And I tell students, start at home. Just visit. May or may not be a school that you're particularly interested in, but you go on a tour. It gets your son and daughter used to going on the campus. Oh, what do they usually ask on tours? What happens on the tour? Schedule a meeting with a counselor so that I tell them all the time, when you get to a school that you really are interested in, you want to visit and talk to a counselor, and you get there and say, do you have any questions? I'd love to talk to you. Have any questions? Well, no. Okay? But if they've already talked to some counselors, got used to that type of thing, just to use it, prior planning prevents poor performance, right? And so if they've done those types of things, so take advantage of all the schools that are around. You don't have to leave town, really, to take advantage of, hey, let me go visit a medium-sized school. Some people will say, nope, my son or daughter, they're not going to a small school, wouldn't fit them at all. Wouldn't fit them, okay? But they've never even visited. They never even checked it out. How do they know, okay? We have enough medium-sized schools, very large schools, very small schools around, not far away, that visit them all. So you can really say, I really checked this out, and small school really doesn't fit me, okay? Versus, not sure, So take advantage of that. But then also, if you have the resources and opportunities, make sure you visit, okay? I say when you go on vacation, okay, wherever you are, there's going to be colleges and universities. Hey, let's just drive through this campus. Let's just take a look at this campus. Again, it helps them to get, listen to other students, what they're asking, talk to some professors, talk to counselors, all of those type of things. So take advantage of the visits as much as you possibly can. Let's see. Develop a list of expectations for your sons and daughters for what you're looking for when you visit different places, okay? And you develop a separate list by yourself. Okay, I've attached some other documents on the back of here that have some general questions that you can use, and I'd make a copy for myself as parents. I'd make a copy for my sons and daughters, and when you do the visit, let them sort of fill it out on their own and set it aside. Okay, add another school to it, set it aside. You do the same, okay? And I think then it allows what happens. And then all you do is when you're driving home, listen to what they say about the school. Don't ask, did you like it? Did you like it? Did you like it? Hated it, my son was like, DePaul, there's no way, right? And my wife's also a graduate of DePaul, He's like, DC, Greencastle. That, it wasn't even DePaul, it was DC, Greencastle. Not happening, that type of thing. But let them, and I didn't have to ask him that. It was just going on in my ear as we're driving. He's like, I'm not going back. We lived in I worked for DePaul for 12 years, so we lived there too. He's like, I'm not going back to Greencastle. I knew we were done right then, okay? And, you're going to have those things, so you don't have to ask them 100 questions. They're going to talk about it, We pulled up to Notre Dame. We go visit Notre Dame. It is like 20 degrees when we got up there, and the parking lot is a long way away from the admissions office. We're about 10 steps into it, and I hear him say, oh, my God, there's no way. This is too cold up here. I knew we were done. So we get in the car, and we're just driving, and I'm just waiting for what's coming out first, and he says, Dad, I know you were cold, weren't you? I said, I was cold, but it wasn't too bad, you know, it wasn't too bad. Well, I was freezing. And he didn't say anything else about the school. So when it's time to apply to colleges, hey, is Notre Dame on your list? Nah, I don't like Notre Dame. Okay, you know, that type of thing, okay? I loved Notre Dame at that time, but so just listen to them. I think we always think we got to talk to them, talk to them, talk to them. Listen, part of the communication part is listening to them, because they're at some point during that ride, they're going to open up and say something, okay? And it's going to be the thing that you didn't even notice. Mom, did you see that? You know, oh, I didn't notice that, you know, or, hey, I love that. And you're like, ooh, I thought that was terrible, right? So that's what you want to do during the visits. And set expectations. You know what your expectations are, and then they write theirs down, you write yours down. Set those apart. Then when you get together, it allows you to have a conversation, okay? Hey, tell us what you thought about that particular school. And just go through, how did you check that one off? Then, oh, you know, I went through, and you'll be surprised how familiar, how alike they are, okay? But then if there's differences, that allows you to talk about what the differences are. Oh, you didn't really like that, why? You know, why that? Those types of things. So that's what I mean by setting expectations of, don't just go visit, set some expectations before you go. You know, talk to, you know, it's so funny, my son, I talked to him yesterday, and he said, hey, I just did an interview to maybe be a tour guide. He goes, and I walked in, and they asked where I was from, and said Indianapolis, and the young lady said, really? She goes, I went to Cathedral. Where'd you go to school, right? He told me that last night. He goes, I knew I had a job then, you know. He hadn't called me back yet to let me know if he got it, but he felt pretty good about that, right? So that was just last night. All I'm saying there is have them talk to the other students, okay? If you know, they can tell you where the students are, okay? What college they're at. If you schedule a visit there, try to get in touch with that student. They may not know them, but at least they have something in common with them, right? They have Cathedral High School in common with them that says, hey, what do you think about the place? You know, is it what you thought it was? That's what's going to be important for you to do. The other thing is, make sure colleges will schedule you, okay? Build into your schedule your own private time, if you can. Sometimes you're going to be buzzing, you got to move, and you got to go. But if you can build it in, your own private time, to just sort of take in the campus by yourself with your sons and daughters to really figure out if it's the right place. I was a student athlete, and you know, the athlete's privilege, I call it, right? Athletes have a lot of privileges on college campuses, just in general. People treat them like really pretty good, right? And so most time you go, the coaches bring them in, your sons and daughters go, and who they pair you with, the athletes who, oh, I just love it, and they're all pumped up. That's fine. You hope it's like that if your son or daughter is going to play a sport there, right? On the other hand, if you go and sit at the lunch table and say, hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Can we join you? Yeah. Sit down and join us. Hey, my son and daughter plays, hopefully maybe somebody non-athlete, right? And hey, my son and daughter's thinking about coming here and participate, loves the school, great academic background here, but would like to participate in sports here. What do you think? How do they perceive the athletes here? Oh, most of them are just dumb jocks and things. Was that where you want your son or daughter to go? Okay. If the other students perceive them as, not quality students, not those things, it allows you to sort of build your own and not sort of just hear from the story that we're just going to tell you, okay? Build it yourself. Or sit down with, sit down with someone who's from another country or someone who's different race than them and sort of say, hey, how's life here for students of color on your campus? You don't have to be a student of color to ask that question, right? How's life here? You like it? Is it good? Yeah, really it might say, hey, I really like this place because they appreciate difference. They value difference. The professors, the students, those type of things. Or they say, oh my gosh, I don't know why they come because this place is terrible. No one respects them. No one, all I'm saying, again, I'm not trying to make it over dramatic. I'm just saying it allows you to just sit down and find out about the place informally in a way that can help you, right? So how do they treat the women? Do they understand, appreciate, and value gender differences on that campus? Okay? Those are things that you need to make sure you understand and try to do in that process. Let me move on so we can sort of close some things out. Again, I think here's a couple of last things I want to point out. Promoting themselves, okay? Your sons and daughters, it's so important. When you get to the process where you're visiting schools, you're doing interviews, things like that, they are there to sell themselves, okay? And it's hard for them to do, even the cocky ones, right? It's hard for them to do it, to really, you know what, I am the stuff, okay? They have to feel like that though, right? I want students to come and say, hey, it's great to see you today. I want to talk about sort of, one, why I would want to be here, and two, why you would want me here, right? And so they're promoting themselves. It starts with their application. I tell them this all the time. Most of you do it online, those things, but sometimes you get, some students want to do it on paper, and they write their essays and those type of things, and I get it, and it looks like this, okay? I tell them all the time, if you can't sit across from me and this is your application, okay? This is you. This is your first impression right here. And some of you thinking, oh, that never happens. It happens every year, okay? And it's not just the lowest ranked student in the class. It's some very bright students in the class that sometimes is just like this. We get that nice online application, and some of the supplemental stuff is like this. And I can tell you, I'm really surprised. I'm glad that your junior English composition class is working with them, because you would think that our students can't spell, okay? Because they do spell check and it substitutes another word that they didn't think it was supposed to be there, right? Right? But they never what? Go back and proof it, right? Proofread it, okay? So I say to you, don't write their essay. You should not write their essay. Don't do that. But proof their essay for them, okay? Proof it for them, okay? Because that's the first impression. This is trying to say, hey, in a group of 100 students, and you want your son or daughter to be one of those that gets in that college, and they're in that last bit for a space, what's the first impression? This is what the impression of them is. So is everything there? Is everything complete? If they say, hey, we want an essay that's 250 words, okay? Don't make it 500. Okay? Because then that might be the 30th essay that counselor from Vanderbilt has read that night. Okay? And thinking, oh my gosh, it's pretty good, but I'm not reading all that, right? Sometimes it doesn't have to be 250 words. Sometimes it's like, hey, I want your best 180, okay? So that's what you want to do. First impressions, promote themselves, brag. It's time for them to brag on themselves. You have some outstanding students, sons and daughters, okay? Let them brag on the things that they should be bragging on to promote themselves when they talk to college reps and things like that, okay? There's the way to do it, you know that, okay? Being professional about those types of things, but it's so important, okay? It's when I got that outstanding student, boy, you know me, I'm like, come on, give it to me. Tell me about you. I want to know about you, okay? And, I like it. I'm okay, yeah. Hey, look, I looked at this. You're taking all IB classes. I mean, I remember a student from Cathedral had 15 IB classes and A's in all of them. I think she went to Notre Dame. And I was like, oh my, because I was a member of the selection committee for the Indiana Academic Top 40 All-Stars. And I was like, oh my gosh, And I saw that, and I knew the student because she ran cross country, and I saw her, and I said, oh, you are a superstar, And she was in every way, that type of thing. Thank you. I was like, no, tell you are. And so I got her to loosen up, that type of thing. But that's what you want your sons and daughters. They have the opportunity we want outstanding students at our institutions, okay? And outstanding students are those who are going to be engaged, involved, active, and love their place. The last thing I told you earlier, I was a DePauw guy. The last thing I would say is I remember being a student at DePauw, and we had a guest speaker, and this older gentleman comes in, and he sort of waddles up to the front, and he says, when I get up in the morning, he goes, I look in the mirror, and he said, I growl because I'm a tiger. Okay? And I'm thinking, oh my God, right? It took me to leave DePauw, leave DePauw, to realize what he really meant. You want your son or daughter, regardless of what school they go to be able to say when they're 80 years old, you know what, when I look in the mirror, I'm a proud graduate of, right? That's the right fit. The other thing at the top of that sheet is my name and my address, okay, my contact information. I offer it all the time, every time, and I really mean this, not for Franklin College purposes, that if you, in this process, want to do a practice interview, a practice tour, I grill them, I help you get them on the right, I will do that for you. I have parents every year take advantage of that. Come down, I do it for free, okay? Because I want your sons and daughters to make informed choices, and I make myself available and say, I just got a quick question, okay? Call, ask me a quick question. If they can't answer it for you, I will do that for you. I will steer you in the right direction to somebody else if they need to answer that for you. But I offer those services to you so that your sons and daughters are not the ones, not the 54% who are transferring, but those who are the 46% that are making that informed choice. I'll be around afterwards if any of you have any specific questions. Enjoyed talking with you this evening. Any questions before? Any questions? I'll take a few questions. Can I take just a few questions? Let me take just a few questions, and then I'll stay around for some others if you have some. But any specific questions before we go? Yes? There's a fan sort of going, so you may, somebody...
Is there any distinction between the quality of the school and perfectly frank, you know, live in the area? Same grades, same classes, same GPA, or it's the same? Two students, same classes. 3-3 is 2-9. 3-3 is Lawrence, 2-9 is here. How do colleges distinguish between the qualities and grades of
No doubt about it. And again, my son is a graduate Park tutor, and my daughter went to Lawrence North High School, so I can give you that comparison. The thing for us is, and I never thought I'd say this, I'd repay it all over again. And I think when your son and daughters leave this place, you're going to say, I'd repay it all over again. Because that colleges will take that in consideration. They certainly do take that in consideration. No. We know that in terms of rigor and preparation for the students who come to my college, for example, or other colleges, we know that the base is going to be solid, that they're going to perform well. Because it's not just recruiting your sons and daughters, it's retaining them, okay? And so certainly that is critically important in that, because, now here's the thing that I'll say, I'll have some students and parents who would say, yeah, but I go to Cathedral, I'll just use an example, I go to Cathedral, and it's a student who's just very average, they have all these great classes that they offer, honors, IB, AP, those type of things. Student never takes any of those. And said, but if I went to the school in Lawrence right down the street, I'd be valedictorian. No, you wouldn't. That type of thing. And so it's, as long as they're taking advantage of the great benefits that the school offers, it's going to help them in the end in terms of preparation. Yes. Any other questions real quick before I let you go? Yes.
I would like one of our own counselors to address the fact that, as I have worked with my older children, we call it the suburban A and the cathedral A. Carmel High School, an A starts at 90. An A does not start at 90 to 100 at Cathedral. There is a huge grade differential. An A at Cathedral is one of the hardest A's to learn in town in terms of where the cuts are.
Thank you, Mrs. Malone. Appreciate that. And really, it's the same answer that Alan gave. When colleges look at your students, they are not comparing them to students who go to Carmel, to students who go to Lawrence Central, to any other college in the country. In Texas, they're on a 12-point grading scale. In New York, they have a set of numbers which, when I worked at the NCAA, I couldn't hardly ever figure out. Every state, every school district has something different, so you cannot compare. We're on a different grading scale. Other people are on different scales. Some people don't even give grades. Okay, they have pass or fail. So what will happen, we send an application to Franklin College, Mr. Hill is looking at what did he do or what did she do in the context of Cathedral High School, not what, oh, I've got this kid from Lawrence, they're similar GPAs or similar test scores. They don't look at that. They look at what you have available in the context of your school.
What I might also add is that we get these questions every year. There are schools, some that are going to be very popular for your sons and daughters, that use our weighted grade not only for admission, but for scholarship. So there are some kids with 3A weighted grades that might have the test scores to get them a pretty good scholarship at one of our flagships, where if they went to another school and didn't have a 4.67 weight on their honors, may not have that 3.8. So there are some benefits to some of the things we do here too.
So to that point, there are also our schools who don't take the GPA. And my kids are in 8th grade coming down here. One of the parents is a meeting senior. The cathedral staff were encouraging us, and I'm fully in agreement with this. My 2 kids that are here do, but we're encouraging us to have them take the most rigorous courses they could. When our 8th grade student met with the seniors disagreed. The senior said we didn't get scholarship money because they didn't take our weighted GPA. And so if you're between maybe getting a B in an AP class and getting an A in an honors class, you should take the honors.
Now, what I would say is students, and I think most of the college folks I talk to is, you want your sons and daughters to stretch themselves fully. You don't want them to overwhelm themselves. So if you have a son or daughter who's, some students may be very capable of taking a full IB load and stretch themselves and handle that, okay? While others might be that, hey, I could handle 1 or 2 IB courses and take a few of these other courses. Some, if they really, it's going to overwhelm them to take an IB or an AP course where they're not going to perform very well in, then that's where you have to talk with your counselor and what's going to fit them best. But I can tell you that when I talked about the transcript being the most important, because we focus on the GPA, the transcript is the most important. What the college really look at, yeah, I look at the grades, but the first thing I pull a transcript out is we get your school profile. So we know all the courses that you offer here at the school. I want to know what classes did they take at this school based on the classes that were offered. Okay? That's what we look at. That's what we look at. And so that's what most schools are going to look at in that process. Yes?
I just have a question. When the transcripts are sent from here, are they numbered or are they lettered?
Is it letter grades or?
Oh, yeah.
No, yeah, letter grades. Yes. Yes.
I understand that one admissions officer stated one of the big things they looked at was class rank. Because it kind of compared how you did in your environment compared to your peers around you. And schools that didn't send out ranks, which people was on, they had a way, folks said, we have questions we ask to kind of figure that kind of thing out. So you guys have any
Yeah.
insight?
Yeah, the question was some schools have class ranks and some don't, okay? And so for those schools that don't rank, the question comes back to sort of, so do the schools then sort of manufacture a rank for them and things like that? No, again, it gets back to looking at the courses that they've taken. They sometimes will put a percentage of the number of students that are in a certain decile or something like that. What do you do? Quartile, those type of things. So it just gives you a sense. Again, you're only comparing it to the other students who've gone. I have, for example, in our office, and I've had it for 15 years, is what we call our book report. So I know every student who's ever attended our school from all the different high schools. And so what I will do is a laundry list. So I will go through, I know what their high school rank was, what their high school SAT or ACT scores were, those type of things, and what their current GPA is at the college. So any new people that come in, I'm able to at least compare, even across years, some of that. So there's so many different ways that you can look at that.
No, I mean, it's on a profile. We haven't had rank for 10 years. And most schools, with our college bound population, don't.
And schools honor that. I mean, we're not going to have them manufacture a class rank. If your school doesn't rank, they don't rank. We go with what the information we have. I just want to thank you for your time. I'll be around if you have other specific questions, but thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Thank you, sir.
You.